This is a face-turning octahedron. If you look only halfway from it, it kind of looks like a pyraminx, but then you move it around and there's 8 sides on it instead of 4 like on a pyraminx. I don't think I really needed to explain that, but whatever. There are certain versions of the octahedron where one of them is corner turning, but the one that I have today is face turnings, so as in it turns using its faces rather than the corners like how a pyraminx would turn. So it actually makes it a lot more of an interesting event, and I've actually kind of been enjoying this event right now. It's not an official event yet, but hashtag FTO for WCA. Let's get into the basics of this puzzle here. So how do you actually solve the face turning octahedron? There are multiple different methods that can be used to solve the FTO, but the one that I use and the one that most people tend to use is the Bisco method. Basically what you do is make the white center, then you make the first 2 triples that correspond with the white side, then you make the first 3 centers, green, orange, and gray, and then you make the last bottom triple, then you do some turns to make the last 3 triples, which will solve the puzzle. So I actually got this puzzle more than a month ago, actually at the same time as I got the GAN 5x5, and I've been seeing a lot of videos and other types of content about it, and it made me decide that I actually wanted to get one and see what this event is all about. And I got it. I actually ended up scrambling it right after I finished uploading the video of it, and I legitimately could not figure out how to solve it at first, and I ended up disassembling it and reassembling it, which probably wasn't such a great idea because I absolutely didn't know how to reassemble it, and it was only one video later that I actually figured out how to reassemble it. And that was where I decided I actually want to learn how to solve this because I can't be disassembling and reassembling this all the time. That really would take a long time and not really efficient, and doesn't really get me knowing how to actually do things with this event. So I actually decided to learn how to solve it. First, I actually did figure out how to get the first center, so the first white center, and it did take a bit of tries to actually get all of the colors in the right place. Ended up learning from I think 3 different tutorials. Actually, one of them was the Noble Cubes tutorial, the second one was the Ben Puzzles tutorial, third one was the Chris Choi tutorial, and I got most of it all settled in with the exception of last 3 triples. But before even going into that, after I finished the first center, I tried to go to the red center and then try to solve it all one by one, which did not work. Oh, I dropped the cube because that's not how you're actually supposed to solve it that way. What you're supposed to do is actually solve these centers here. So the green, the orange center, and the gray center. And then these other centers will all solve itself once you finish the last bottom triple and also last 3 triples. I think I found one video, I forgot who made it, I'll just put it up here, that actually helped me figure out how to do last 3 triples, the tulip version of it. And I ended up being able to roughly know how to actually solve the puzzle without having to look at a tutorial. So that is kind of my journey on how I learned how to solve FTO. It was a little bit more difficult than learning algorithms and stuff because I'm trying to learn how to do a new puzzle that I have never actually done before. It was kind of an interesting combination of a few different puzzles, and I hear a lot of people saying this, the way that you solve it, at least if you're using the Bisco method, which I ended up learning and most FTO solvers do it, it's basically a combination of 3x3, 4x4 Yao, and then just a bunch of other things at the end. So I basically just kept going on and actually started practicing FTO and actually putting time into actually solving it. And at first, my times were really bad, but I feel like that's kind of to be expected when you first learn an event. Like, I'm pretty sure my first 3x3 solves were like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then eventually just after I kept practicing, I got it down to like 1 minute. I think the same thing can be said for FTO. When I actually started practicing, the first few solves were really bad. I think one of them was like 4 minutes, and then I got lucky enough to get a 3-minute solve, and most of my times have been pretty much around there at that time, except for one really bad solve, and I think it was because I was actually stuck on the last layer trying to figure out how to not only get all of those triples sorted, but I think I also messed up a little bit trying to get the centers because at that time I also wasn't really efficient with the centers. As time kept going on, I actually started to improve a little bit on my FTO solving. I actually got it to around 2 minutes 2 weeks into practicing it, and then when my sophomore year of college started a few weeks ago, I actually decided to take this to school with me. just literally bring this inside my backpack when I had time in the library, and I also had a 5-hour break between classes because I just do that. Suddenly, I ended up getting a sub 2 solve. I think it was like 1 minute and 45 seconds, which was kind of surprising because at home I kept averaging 2 minutes and 25 seconds, which I still get on a really bad solve today. But after that, I just kept practicing even more and ended up averaging around 1.5 minutes. And I feel like if I keep practicing a little bit more, I can actually maybe even get a sub 1 minute solve, which is my ultimate goal for FTO. What am I going to be doing at this point for FTO? I think I'm just gonna continue practicing it because I really enjoy practicing FTO. I feel like I actually practice it more than I enjoy practicing 3x3 now. Maybe I can actually register for a competition that there is FTO unofficially. I feel like the rate I actually improved at solving FTO has definitely been a lot faster than practicing Megaminx. I think for me it just feels a lot more different, and just getting used to solving FTO and its steps kind of being really similar to 3x3, 4x4. I actually want to continue practicing this a lot more and try to get really good at it. I feel like there's a lot of potential with this event, maybe with even better hardware than the Diansheng. This was probably a really big improvement in comparison to the previous FTOs that were released, like the Lan. The fact that this is $17 and it performs really good, albeit it has a lot of popping issues. I feel like there's a lot of potential. The more practice I have on this Octahedron, I feel like I'll get really good at it. I think that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Shout out to Speedkeep Shop for sending me this FTO, and be sure to use discount code J to get 5% off your order.